I'm here at T-Sport Bernau with the one and only Antonio Albacete. Antonio has a fantastic anniversary coming up this weekend, your 900th race in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Antonio, what do these sort of numbers mean to you as a driver? You know, your career has been amazing anyway, but surely it's another cherry on the cake?
Yeah, I think it means a lot of years racing, you know, but and a lot of things happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to still racing, to be here, to have these 900 races. It could be more, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great number. So I hope I do well in the first race. Yeah. I hope I can take as much as points and celebrate with the whole team.
And I was going to say, you know, does it add a bit more pressure to that one particular race, knowing that it would be a bit of an occasion?
No. I think that the pressure is always the same. So we have the pressure on all the time.
And, you know, you've had obviously a fantastic career spanning not just truck racing, but other categories as well, in touring cars, and you've been a manufacturer driver for so many teams. Is there still one race at this point that stands out to you as one of your very favourites?
Well, I mean, I think it will be the race at Jarama when I won the first European Championship. You know, I think it was great in front of all the crowd, all my family, all the friends. So I think that race is one of the best. Yeah.
And just talking back about this weekend, what do you make of Zolder? Is it a circuit that you enjoy? Because it looks like a fantastic place to be. Yeah,
I like Zolder, and I think it's a great circuit, you know, one of the oldest circuit. So yeah, I like, and I think normally we are quite good here, so I hope that we can show that this weekend.
And obviously your championship didn't get off to the best start this year, but you seem to be gaining more of that momentum now. Is there anything in particular that's changed, or anything that you knew that was wrong?
No, I think that we just have very bad luck at the beginning, you know. I think we have really shit happens, you know. And I think that, and sometimes maybe that makes you a little bit down. Yeah. But no, I think that the track is good. I am good now, so I hope that we can keep this moment and we can go a little further on the championship points.
And what about race 1000 then? Will that be coming around before you know it? Is that the 4-digit number? Is that what you're aiming for?
That will be great, but I don't know. I mean, I'm 60 now, so to be in the top level is not easy. Yeah, for sure. But of course, I mean, if I'm still in this top level and I can fight for the first positions, why not? Why not?
I think me and Antonio had a conversation at Jarama a few years ago where he said at the end of the day, if you weren't racing, you'd still just be at home watching it on TV or finding something to work on. So you may as well be behind the wheel, mightn't you?
Yeah, maybe. It is true.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Antonio. Congratulations again from everybody on 900 races, and we sincerely hope it goes well.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Hello everybody from the grid here at Circuit Zolder for the first race of the weekend in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. As you've seen, we've had a fantastic weekend so far. Wonderful to speak to Antonio Albacete this morning and get his thoughts ahead of 900 races. This circuit has always been a very pivotal one in the championship. It's narrow, it's twisty, there's lots of hard braking zones, chicanes, hairpins, everything you can throw at a racing driver, this circuit has got it. The weather for now, as all of us Brits love to go on about, is still absolutely gleaming. I can feel my receding hairline burning further and further as the day goes on, but we're all excited because it means a dry circuit and it means some of the best pace that our drivers and teams have to offer. Nobody is going to be sort of struggling in wet conditions or anything like that. That's probably to come later on in the weekend. It's so windy that it changes very quickly here, so you never know what you can expect. The grid, as you can see, is filling up behind me with all of our wonderful VIPs and personnel. We have also the trucks making their way around onto the grid as well, and our lovely flag bearers are also making their way to the front. The whole presentation is now coming together and starting to form. We had an interesting qualifying session, as you would have seen this morning. Norbert Kish on pole position, but Sascha Lenz joining him on the front row this time round. Rene Reiner ended up with a penalty towards the end, and unfortunately for him dropped 3 positions, so he will now start from 8th on the grid after qualifying 5th, which promoted Clemens Hecker up a position as well. He'll be really pleased with that. I actually told him just before the autograph session that he's going to have been promoted up a place, and Luke Garrett also had a really strong qualifying. When the trucks make their way to the grid, we'll be having a good chat with them. You can probably hear them in the background now. They're making their way around, but if you look this way, you'll see the grid is getting nice and full now, and the trucks will be making their way around to us in just a moment. It'll be the very inside line for Norbert Kish starting on pole position, and he will have Sascha Lenz, I believe, on his right-hand side next to him. Turn 1 here at Zolder is so important, you know. It's got a very late apex as you go around the corner. You have to turn in quite early and sort of gradually build your way in there, and it's got this sharp curve on the inside line. So down towards turn 1, it doesn't look like a humongous run from here, but it's such a pivotal one. And even out of the final corner as well, we've seen positions change in the past. There's so much that this circuit has to offer. I cannot wait to see how the action shapes up, and I'm sure you lot at home as well are all enjoying the action, and hopefully you are, because you'll have to be looking at this lovely mug for the rest of the weekend. We can hear the trucks making their way around now, and they should be with us in just a sec. But even standing down here, this is my first visit to Zolder ever, and I love the place already, but even from this perspective, you know, it's not a wide circuit whatsoever. You often go to racing circuits and see just how wide the track can be from one side to the other, and you wonder, you know, how does anyone ever make contact on these things, you know? But seeing how narrow this track is, it's an absolute given. It really is. We'll wait and see then when they get to this final corner now. I can't even see anybody coming up yet, to be honest with you. I think they've released them a minute or so late here, but they obviously have quite a long outlap here. It's 2 minutes at racing speed as well as a lap around this circuit. So when you're on an outlap as well, it's 3.5, 4 minutes even, you know, at half speed. We have our first truck coming onto the grid, and it's Mr. 900. It's Antonio Albacete making his way on. We've got Tim Frost here from T-Sport. Tim, do you want a quick word? How are you, mate? You all good?
How are you?
Very well, thank you. You enjoyed the sun?
Yeah, well, now it's out, yeah. So it was a bit wet yesterday and this morning, but yeah, the conditions changed. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good news for Hecker starting in P5. So yeah, unreal. So he did a really good job, especially in the changing conditions. Well, that's why some of the big teams were like doing multiple laps. Yeah. Normally we do one fast lap, park it up, but we were just doing multiple laps because the circuit was changing lap by lap. Yeah. So we just missed a little bit going into second chicane in the braking zone. That's why we're starting P4, but that's life.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, in Q1, you know, it was changing so quickly. The times were so mixed up. I mean, there was, I think Antonio ended 9th in the first session or something. It was crazy how you know, sporadic it seemed. But that's what makes it exciting.
Oh, for us, oh yeah, definitely. Like we were in the pit lane going, oh, we're safe, and then you're getting a bit closer and you're like, oh, we're definitely not safe. But like, there was a few teams in the pit lane, especially like Rodriguez and Newell. Like, don't get me wrong, they messed up a little bit more. So, and if they went out, we would have gone out as well, because it was, they were behind us. So yeah, exactly, yeah. So.
Well, best of luck to Antonio in race 900. We'll catch you later.
Cheers, Chaz. Cheers, guys.
Right then, so we're going to be welcoming our international TV audience in just a couple of moments' time. I'm going to move down the middle of the grid because they're going to go either side of me here. I imagine this would be a scary sight if I turned around right now. This will look good on the CV, won't it? But we have to welcome our international TV audience from around the world in just a moment's time. So we're going to go quiet here at the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. If you stay with us on our live stream, we'll be interviewing some of the drivers in just a few moments, and we'll get their words ahead of this first race of the day.
Deze wedstrijd met de snelste tijd dus voor Norbert Kish 1:57.409. 1:57.409. Dat was de snelste tijd van Norbert Kish, die al heel het seizoen...
Hello everybody, welcome to Circuit Zolder and welcome to round number 6 of the 2025 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Our grid is formed here ahead of race 1 of the weekend. We had a very interesting qualifying session that has given us a right spicy grid, as we'd say in the north of the UK. The first driver I'd like to speak to today is Sascha Lenz. He starts on 2nd position on the grid and he has got Norbert Kisch alongside him on the front row. Sascha, we had a quick word earlier on during the autograph session. You're a happy boy today, aren't you?
Ja, ich bin natürlich sehr, sehr glücklich heute. Das Auto funktioniert sehr gut. Ich komme immer besser mit dem Auto zurecht. Wir brauchen noch ein richtiges Setup, aber nichtsdestotrotz, jetzt ist Rennen. Im Rennen kann alles anders laufen und von daher, ich werde mein Bestmögliches versuchen. Ich werde versuchen, meinen Platz zu verteidigen in den ersten 2-3 Runden und dann gucken, wie das Rennen sich ergibt.
I think that was yes. You're no, it's fine. Don't you worry. Obviously, you've got Jochen and Antonio. The three of you have been fighting together for years. How hard do you have to try and keep them behind you here at a place like this?
Yeah, it's really hard, you know. But you know, we wait now 1 year that we stand in the first line again. So we are really happy. My mechanics make a really good job. It's nothing, if I say in the evening or the night, come on, we change the truck, we're building anything, there's nobody there, he say, oh no, we do this not. So everybody is in really hard to push. And in this moment we have a really good result, but it's not the end for the race.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you get on, Sascha. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Right then, I need to find somebody from Sascha's team who I promised an interview to today. So I'm sorry for my cameraman Marco, who's having to walk around backwards and all over the place. But I need to find Jane Bigler. She is around here somewhere. She's normally around on the grid. There's no one here. We need to find Jane. I promised her an interview earlier on today. She even posted us on her Instagram story, and she's not here. So we'll have to, unfortunately. Oh, she's right here. I'm so sorry, darling.
Like a ghost.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Well, how can you feel great when the weather's like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Sascha on the front row with the grid. It's been a while since he's been there. You must all be so over the moon.
Oh, that's going to be nerve-wracking for me too. But thank goodness I'm a little bit sidetracked with my work, so that will keep me busy. And hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Sorry.
No problem. No time to feel nervous about what's going on. But you know, you're the promoter for Sascha, effectively doing all the social media and everything. It's been a tough season to sort of remain positive, hasn't it? You know, the truck didn't behave itself at the beginning. It was difficult, wasn't it?
Ups and downs, but you have to get used to it. You can't change it. You just have to take what rank he gets, and we'll always happy what he does. But of course, we can always do a little bit better. But well, we'll see today. So keep our fingers crossed.
And what do you make of Zolder? Do you like it here? I certainly do.
Well, yeah, Zolder is actually quite nice. A little bit lots to walk to get to the grid, but that's a different story. But yes, sure. Yeah. And I'm so pleased it's not raining. I think in my age I'm not waterproof anymore, so it's better the sun is shining.
Oh, me too. Well, thank you very much, Jane. Great to see you and best of luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is just hand over to some highlights that we had from the last time we went racing at Zolder? No. Autodrom Most. Thank you to the director who's shouting it now in my ear. We had a great time back at Most, and there was plenty going on circuit there, so we'll cut back to some highlights of that. I'm going to make my way to the commentary box, and let's get this race underway, shall we? Mark. I just made sure that I caught my breath before I unmuted. And hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott now in the commentary box here at Circuit Zolder. As you've seen from our introduction here, it's wonderful conditions for this first race of the day, and everybody is in really high spirits ahead of this one. I was hoping to get an interview with Clemens Hecker and Antonio Albacete. Antonio has, and you'll see it here, a lovely message of race 900 scribed on the windscreen of his truck. You can't quite see it there, unfortunately, as it obviously shines through to the building in the background. But yeah, they've in big marker pen put race 900 on his windscreen, bless him. And as you could see from the interview with Antonio, he's very excited for this one. Really, really pleased to have that number under his belt. And obviously, as I alluded to, he'll be aiming for 1,000 races. There it is. Look, fantastic. Great stuff. And lovely to hear from Tim as well. Obviously, he's very confident, always is. He does a bit of a rain dance, though, every time, because obviously Antonio, with the amount of experience he's got a lot more track time in the wet than most drivers at this stage. But we now get prepared with our 100% renewable HVO diesel on the fifth wheel. You can see it on Norby's truck there. He's starting from pole position once again on the inside line, and admittedly I couldn't remember whether they started on the inside line or on the outside line on the front row, because the first sector is full of right-handers. So if you have a good enough start from the outside, you can be on the inside for the next 3 corners, but then obviously comes the chicane and then you're on the outside for that. There is Jochen Hahn, second row of the grid for him. He's going to be pretty chuffed still. You know, I spoke to him earlier. He said he was still happy. He's still near the front of the grid. He's still competitive. But so is this machine as well. Truck 25, Clemens Hecker, is really pleased to have gotten that. He qualified 6th, but we've had a penalty for René Reinert of 3 grid positions, so that's promoted Clemens up a position as well. Same with Steffi Halm. She goes from 7th to 6th. And Luke Garrett, I believe, goes from 8th to 7th, and that's Luke's best qualifying in the championship. So he's got a lot of reasons to be smiling from the number 42 machine. And he'll be hoping to get some big points out of this weekend and hopefully propel himself into the Chrome Championship fight. Clemens Hecker there, belting up, ready to go. Davide Califano from Goodyear there on the left-hand side. He's going to be giving out some trophies later on today. And we're hearing that we've got a 5-minute delay, unfortunately. So I'm afraid we're going to be sat on the grid for a little bit longer. I wish I could just nip back outside and go and pick up the microphone again and get another interview in and see if I could speak to somebody else. But unfortunately, is not the case. It takes a bit more organisation behind the scenes and preparation than you'd expect to just jump back out there. Apparently it's down to a delay with the pit exit opening time. I said when I was on the grid that I thought they left them out quite a bit later, so yeah, it was. We were supposed to have trucks on the grid for when we came down to me on the grid. There are some of the guys from Mark Taylor's team and Don't Touch Racing as well for Bradley Smith. There's Boris leaning on the door of the number 81. Mark has definitely got a lot of work to do in this race. He needs to push on and try and claim back some points. They've hopefully finished fixing the reliability issues that they had earlier on in the season. A thumbs up from Jonathan Andre. So lovely to see him back on the grid. He's such an enthusiastic guy. And truck number 66 is his for this one. In the French Championship, I believe he ran number 44, but he took over the number 66 from the late Anthony Janiak, who we tragically lost a few years ago. And he continued to run his number for the driver that used to race for their team. Jonathan taking the reins of that vehicle and continuing to pilot it towards championship points and results. Steffi Halm, she was also happy this morning as well, very confident. I asked her if she was confident for another victory after taking a win at Most just a few weeks ago, and she said she's always happy and confident for a win. So we look forward to seeing what results Steffi can get here. She's always gone well at Zolder, actually, so it's a circuit that definitely favours her driving style. And I'm excited to see what she can do. There's some of the guys from Stefan Kirsch's team. I'm sure that they will be hoping for some championship points. Stefan having a bit of a difficult start to the weekend, but again, it's just lovely to have him back with us. He had a hand injury earlier on in the season that put him on the sidelines, and he wasn't able to race with us at Lausitzring in Germany. And there, Louis Rikwenko as well. One of his mechanics, Brandon, on the left-hand side there. Lovely guy, really nice guy, always a good laugh. I saw him in the pit lane this morning during the warm-up. And a shout-out to my good friend Bernard Moretz as well, who has messaged me saying that I need to improve on my German and my French. He always watches the broadcasts, and he's a photographer, a lovely, lovely photographer. He's always in and around the paddock taking pictures of everybody and everything. He's great, really top guy, so it's good to hear from him. Here's the Ford F-Max inspection lap then with May Fisher behind the wheel. The Ford used, of course, to inspect the circuit and, as you see, get put through its paces as well by May. She really throws this thing around. And beeping the horn as well to say hello to the marshals, which is great, and a flash of the lights. And while we're on the subject, by the way, of mentioning people who may be watching or that may not be here this weekend, I'd love to give a big happy birthday to Lena. Lena, our usual presenter here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's her birthday today, so many happy returns, Lena, and hope she has a fantastic day. And while I'm on it as well, I'd like to give two special friends of mine a shout out who are also, I know, watching from home this weekend. They particularly enjoy Zolder and the truck racing. My good friend Humphrey and a guy that we nicknamed Sloth. He's always very slow moving, so I'd like to give him a shout out as well and hope he enjoys the broadcasting this weekend. I told him I'd give him a shout out at some point, and there it is. So, as you've seen, we have René Reinert dropping grid positions. Now, I heard it was a drop of just 3, but it's 8 positions that he has dropped. So he's got a lot more work to do than originally planned. Here is the circuit then. Fantastic racetrack, Zolder. Really is. And, you know, when you talk about a racetrack in Belgium, everybody always thinks of Spa-Francorchamps. But Zolder, for me, is always slightly better. There is a great layout. Lucien Bianchi-Bocht and the Kleine Chicane, two of the most important parts of the circuit. A very high-speed right-hander leading into a very slow chicane. Same again with the Villeneuve chicane leading to Terlemenbocht as well. That's one of the key opportunities to make sure that a driver gets a good run before then going down to breathe in. Boulderberg-Harsbelt-Bocht, the final hairpin in the lap before the chicanes. And the Jackie Ixbocht also. A big, heavy braking zone. We see quite a lot of overtakes into there, actually, so I'm excited for whatever may transpire down there. It's nice and warm today, as you've seen. The sun is shining. There's quite a bit of cloud in the air, but it's not really threatening rain anytime soon, which is strange for Zolder, actually. Normally it throws it down at, well, with no notice. It will just absolutely chuck it down here, but no, we've been lucky with it so far. There's all the engineers culminating together on the right-hand side of the start-finish straight. They've got a good view of the start-finish lights from there, so any drivers that aren't on the front row of the grid will need a quick warning to, well, just get go shouted in their ear when to lift off the brakes and get cracking. My colleague Alice Holloway has let us know that the 30-second board has been shown and now the trucks are away. We are led around by the Iveco S-E-Way, which is our electric pace truck. Glorious machine. A 100% electric truck that, to be fair, we thought we were only getting for a couple of rounds this year to share duties with the bio-LNG powered Iveco S-Way. But we've had it for more rounds than originally promised. So thank you, Iveco. It's great to have the support from them as part of the championship. And it's lovely, just to quickly switch away from that, sorry, lovely to see Stefan Faas on the grid for this one. He had another fuel issue during the qualifying session. Actually, no, not even that. It was during free practice 2. and he did not make it out into qualifying. So it's great to see that the team have been allowed to start not just from the back of the grid, but also on the grid rather than starting in the pit lane. Means that he still isn't, you know, sat miles behind by the time that the race starts. Here's our grid then. It's Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz on the front row of the grid this time round. Norby with a fantastic lap time of 1:57.1. Really solid pace again from Norby in Rives Racing. Jochen Hahn starts alongside Antonio Albacete on row 2. Those guys between them have a massive number of races in this championship. Clemens Hecker with his best qualifying ever in 5th place. Steffi Halm starting from 6th position on the grid. Luke Garrett also with his best qualifying. He starts 7th. He's hoping to take some big points from this one. Same with Louis Requenco as well. He wants to make sure that he gets points off these guys. You know, Mark Taylor, he wants to get more off Jonathan Andre as well. They start on the 6th row of the grid. Bradley Smith and Stefan Kirsch sharing the next row. Really good to have Stefan back as well. He and his team are so enthusiastic, so pleasant to speak to. René Reinert starting all the way down in 13th place, with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez starting in 14th. I do have the steward's decision documents sent to me for why René is that far down. But we have Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, John Newell and Stefan Faas completing our field here for race 1 today. And I've seen, actually, it was in qualifying 3, René apparently left the circuit and rejoined in a dangerous manner, which is why there was an additional 5 places added to his original 3-place penalty. So the 3-place penalty was for not stopping for a red light during practice 2, and then in quali 3 that we just saw earlier, he left the circuit, rejoined in a dangerous manner, unfortunately. I'm sure you can hear the announcer now going nuts out my window as the trucks make their way round to the final corner, and the first race of the weekend in the 2025 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship from Zolder is underway, and you can hear, even from that shot there, the engineers shouting go. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez moves over to the left-hand side of the grid straight away. Sascha Lenz gets a good start side by side with Norbert Kish, but Norby, using that benefit of the inside line, holds on to the lead, and it's Jochen Hahn who gets down the inside there. Stefan Kirsch already visiting the beach on the right-hand side, not the start to the races that he would have wanted. Luke Garrett there around the outside of Louis Requenco, kicking up a little bit of dust on the exit of turn 2. Down towards the Lucien Bianchi box they go. And it's Norbert Kish in the lead. Sascha Lenz holds on to second. As long as you hold the inside through turn 2, you should be okay all the way around there. Looks like Luke Garrett was side by side with Jonathan Andre for a moment there. The two of them glued to each other. Jochen moving this way and that way behind Sascha Lenz. Breaks a little bit earlier into the chicane. The fantastic sight of them just going past my window when they go down that back straight. Luke Garrett in front of Jonathan Andre. René Reinert making good progress as well. It looked like Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Bradley Smith were getting friendly in the middle of the pack as well. Stefan Faas making great progress too, actually. He's gained a few places from John Newell and Stefan Kirsch. But it's Norbert Kish, Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn at the front, the top 3. Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm and Clemens Hecker, who continues to lead in the Chrome class. We'll keep our eye, though, on Reinert and, of course, Rodriguez coming through the order. Bradley Smith a little bit under the weather this weekend. He's not very well, but he's still pushing on. But it's likely that he's going to drop a few points to these guys in this first race. Hopefully he has a decent recovery overnight. But it's only just the start of race 1 here, so plenty of time for things to change. But a relatively clean first lap here, actually. Stefan Kirsch off in the gravel on the exit of turn 1, but managed to recover. Didn't lose much ground. Whole field just separated by just 10 seconds at the moment, as Jose Eduardo Rodriguez goes down the inside of Jonathan Andre. Those two in very similar MANs, actually, in terms of body shape. They have very similar bumpers. Luke Garrett there defending from René Reinert. He moves over to the left-hand side. René's left rear wheel arch is slightly loose. Actually, no, it's Luke's. I do apologise. They've both got blue. You can forgive me for that. Luke's truck on the right-hand side yellow, left-hand side blue. René's trying a cutback on him. Great pace from René, though. At one point during one of the qualifying sessions, he was in second place. He did a really solid job. I think he improved from something like 13th all the way up into second. And now they go steaming down towards the chicane once more. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez moving out to the left-hand side. René Reiner also just putting pressure on Luke to fill the mirrors. There, a quick look at the rear wheels of trucks that are just bouncing across the curbs. And speaking of bouncing across the curbs, you could hear that noise there as Norbert Kisch's front left hopped, skipped and jumped over the sausage curbs on the inside. Luke is doing everything he can here to push on and obviously not lose any momentum to these two Titan drivers behind. You could see that left rear arch actually, instead of the sort of forward wind of the truck pushing that arch down into the wheel, it lifts up from obviously the centrifugal wind blowing it up in the air. Clemens Hecker still leads in the chrome class, but Louis Riquenco is right behind him with Mark Taylor in the mix as well. The three of them are only separated by, well, barely a second actually. And there they are into that chicane. And then Luke Garrett doing his best to hold off René Reiner for now. It might be the case that he lets René go and then decides to fight the guys behind, maybe even lets Jose Eduardo go as well. Had a warning for Clemens Hecker for penalty markers. And Louis Riquenco as well. That's the top two in the chrome class at present. Also, Stefan Fast getting a warning for his first penalty marker infringement of the day. Look at Jochen Hahn now, though, right up behind Sasha Lenz. He's putting the pressure on his countryman, hoping to take that second place away. Jochen has scored a lot of second places this year, but no race victories yet from the six-time champion. It seems like whenever he's been poised in the right place to take a win, Norby has managed to steal it away from under his nose. But there they go out of the chicane once more. Then you've got Antonio Albacete ahead of Steffi Halm, but then look at these battles behind. Bit of a wobble in the background there. I think that might have been Taylor and Riquenco having a bit of a position swap. Clemens Hecker seems to have opened up a slight gap on them. Looks like Sasha's had a pretty good sector there, actually, down towards the Villeneuve chicane and on the exit as well. Down towards Boulderberg Bocht they go. Kish opening up a bit of a lead now, nearly 2 seconds, 1.9 seconds to the good. But with the other two starting to fight behind, it'll get easier and easier if they start to try and make moves on each other to attack or defend. Great train of machines in the middle of the pack, though. Antonio is holding station in 4th place at the moment. Steffi Halm not close enough to make an attack, but still closing in. And it was indeed Mark Taylor getting ahead of Louis Riquenco after the first chicane. But look at that. They're so evenly spaced all the way down the field after that. And then Bradley Smith has got Stefan Fast and John Newell all over him. Clemens Hecker over the top of the hill. I still need to ask the team whether that is an upside down number 2 that's actually, or an upside down number 5 or something that's making that number 2 on the windscreen. That's just me getting very picky with things. Luke Garrett there, 4th place in chrome at the moment, just behind Louis Riquenco. He wants a bit of silverware from this weekend. And you can see again there, look, Bradley Smith with Stefan Fast and John Newell right up behind. It's always a shame not to see Stefan right at the front of the class. You know, there's no bias involved in that statement. It's simply that he's had that bad a year with reliability. But we got a glimpse at Slovakia Ring of just how quick that truck can be when it's all working right. And he was flying at the front of the class. In fact, just scouring through my results now, I can tell you that in class that weekend at the Slovakia Ring, he took a second, a first and a second, and he was hard to beat. He was on a real mission. Also on a mission, it's the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and one of the biggest steps in making the whole series as sustainable as it is running all of our racing trucks on 100% renewable HVO diesel. It'd just be better if I could say it right. There is the gap that's forming, though, back from Steffi Halm in 5th place to Clemens Hecker in 6th. An interesting thing to look at here, though, is if René Reinert and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez don't make further progress here, it will be 3 chrome trucks at the front of the grid on the reverse grid. It's very often the case that we get the 7 Titan drivers and 1 chrome driver be our top 8 reverse, but in this circumstance, it's looking like we're going to get 3 of the chrome drivers near the top, and they're likely to be Clemens Hecker, Mark Taylor and Louis Requenco, who at the moment running in 8th place would be reversed onto pole position. Black and white flags are going out, and I can tell you that that man is doing a fantastic job of holding on to that black and white flag at present, because I stood on that pit wall this morning during the warm-up and, well, it nearly blew my phone out of my hands as I tried to take pictures. Oh, just had an under investigation. Well, there it is. Under investigation for overspeeding. René Reinert, unfortunately, has been going a little bit too quickly for the steward's liking. I've just managed to catch out of my window. I was just looking to my right-hand side because I can see down the back straight from my window. I just saw Norbert Kirsch go past, and there's a fan stood along the back straight fence here, and they've just seen the trucks fly past and given such a wonderful reaction of excitement, jumping up and down, thinking, wow, this is amazing. It looked brilliant. Really good stuff. And that's what truck racing does to people, you know. It's such a unique sport, even within the world of motorsport, where we see all wonderful and wacky machines. I spoke to one of the, I think it was the series organizer, actually, from the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, who we're sharing the track with this weekend, and he was talking about how, you know, crazy these things are. No matter what, as a petrol head, truck racing is just still, it blows the mind. When I was explaining some of the figures and things to him this morning, and yeah, he was blown away by it all. So there is Clemens Hecker leading the class at the moment by about a second from Mark Taylor, who's then got Louis Requenco behind him. And then it's Luke Garrett, 4th place in chrome, holding on to 9th place overall. He's got René Reinert just inside the top 10 behind him, then Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, then Jonathan Andre and Bradley Smith. Stefan Faas and John Newell were having a bit of a fight a lap or so ago. I think that Stefan has managed to hold him off for now. But across the line to complete another lap in the lead of the class is Clemens Hecker. Mark Taylor at this moment will be scoring some good points for the Chrome Championship, but obviously he wants to take a victory. Back at Most, he got 2 second places on Sunday, but an 8th and a non-start in the second race, obviously due to his reliability, unfortunately. Now they head around turns 1 and 2. John Newell in the middle of these 3. I spoke to John actually just after the qualifying session earlier, and he said, you know, in the last 30 seconds he went from 8th position all the way down to near the bottom of the grid, just because the circuit was simply getting that much quicker that quickly that they didn't have time to go back out and do an out lap and then do a fast lap. So he was caught off guard by the circumstances, unfortunately. Bradley Smith seems to have gotten away a little bit now from Stefan Faas, so the current Chrome Championship leader is looking a little bit more comfortable, but he's down in, what, 5th place in class at the moment, so he's not having the easiest time of it. 6th place in class, actually. Because he's behind Jonathan Andre, who's in 5th at present. It's remained stable for a couple of laps now, though, so some of the drivers are just getting into a rhythm. They're not overdoing it. And this is a circuit where staying in a rhythm is very important as well. You have to be switched on lap after lap here, because the braking zones are so important, but they also provide a lot of opportunity for overtaking as well. So you need to have your eyes on your mirrors and make sure that nobody else is trying to send some moves up the inside. There's been an incident noted between these two, René Reinert and Luke Garrett. It's a little bit of bodywork hanging off Luke's truck there, but I don't think it's anything alarming, anything worth a black and orange flag. Sascha Lenz, though, second place, is setting slightly faster times than Jochen Hahn just now. He was a 10th faster on that previous lap. Both of them about 0.8 of a second faster than Albacete and Steffi Halm. So it looks like the podium positions for now are quite safe until the later moments of the race. Luke Garrett there defending the inside, but also filling the mirrors of Louis Requenco. Requenco, who 2 years ago here had a catastrophic engine failure where the truck had a large oil fire behind the cab. Luckily, the fire went out quickly and Louis was perfectly fine. But unfortunately, his weekend was over as a result of that, and the next time we would see him would be a few race meetings later. He then came back actually and won at Le Mans, if I remember rightly. So a hell of a turnaround. René Reinert still running just behind Luke Garrett inside the top 10. And at present with Louis Requenco in 8th position, actually. He will start from pole position, but as you see there, we have had a 10-second penalty for René Reinert. He's not having a good day today, is René. An infringement in practice. Then, of course, getting the wrath of the stewards during qualifying, and now during the race, he's had a 10-second penalty as well. This is not a day to remember for René. Lots of penalty marker warnings have come through. Steffi Halm was the latest driver to get a black and white flag for penalty marker in turn 6. It's turns 2, 6, 9 and 10 that seem to be the trouble corners for drivers at the moment. And turn 2 is the corner they're just about to go into now. Not the left-hander, but the right-hander that Luke Garrett is having a look down the inside of. And turn 6 is the exit of the first chicane. Turns 9 and 10 is the entirety of the Villeneuve chicane. Looked like Luke was having a go at Requenco for just a sec there. Had a look down the inside, it didn't work, and he's lost a position now to René Reinert. René goes through. I'm pretty sure the team will have told Luke that René's got a 10-second penalty. The team manager of Truck 24, which is Stefan Faas, has been asked to go to the race director after the race. So Michael Marek is going to have a word with some of the guys. Not quite sure what that might be about. There's no warning of any issues, like with black smoke or anything along those lines. As René Reinert down the inside of Louis Requenco, door-to-door stuff. Louis goes straight over the chicane, gives the room on the exit. René Reinert goes through. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez at the same time goes down the inside of Luke Garrett. There's contact on the exit. Left rear to front right on Luke's truck. Bit of bodywork comes off as well. Hopefully that wheel is okay and there's no damage to the tyre or anything along those lines. Here's a look back at it. René down the inside, gets to the apex, and there's a little bit of door banging. It's difficult to get the trucks side by side through there. And René again over the curb on the inside to make sure he uses all the road. He tries to give as much space as possible to Requenco on the outside. Feisty stuff. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez down the inside now of Requenco as well. He gives it a big send into the chicane. Now the interesting question here will be whether René keeps that position and still gets reverse grid pole, or whether the grid is formed off the final result, not the on-track result. I'll have to get that confirmed, actually. I know I should know that by now, but I can't remember which way around it is that we've done it. Depends on whether it's a time penalty or whether it's been a drive-through penalty or something along those lines. We saw Luke Garrett there having another look down the inside of Louis Requenco, trying the move time and time again. At the very front, it's still Norbert Kish leading the way from Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete in 4th, Steffi Halm in 5th. Clemens Hecker still leading the class in chrome, and he's getting away from Mark Taylor as well. Stefan Faas and Stefan Kirsch, both under investigation for their latest penalty marker debacle, as they're 2x2 in the chrome class here. Requenco and Garrett. Garrett goes straight over the chicane. Jonathan Andre just behind with Bradley Smith alongside him. Look at that, under the bridge, 2x2. Brilliant stuff. The incident between Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Luke Garrett is under review, which intrigues me. I thought it may have been the number 64 of Requenco that he had contact with. That rear wheel arch is now nicely stored inside the truck for Luke, and he moves back up a position now. I believe that puts him back in 10th place when all is said and done. So it's not reverse grid pole, but it puts him at least back ahead of Louis Requenco, and that puts him on for a podium place, if I have it right. Hecker is going to get the first place spot as it stands, with Mark Taylor second, and yeah, it would then be Luke Garrett ahead of Louis Requenco. So Luke gaining some silverware effectively. We'll have to see whether he can hold on to that towards the end of the race. We still have a few more laps to go here, but that man there, Clemens Hecker, leads the way in Chrome. The most exciting Chrome fight we've had in a while. It's great to see that we've got 4 drivers separated by, I think it's just 15 points total at this stage. 14 points total between the top 4. Bradley Smith is 12 points clear as well, so that shows you everything you need to know. Just had a quick look out my window at Sasha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. The two of them are now closer together than they were before. Sasha has done a lap that was about half a second slower than Jochen. There they are, actually, coming into the Villeneuve chicane now, and Jochen looks down the inside and goes for the move. Outbrakes Sasha down the inside, outbrakes himself down the inside. Sasha has to go straight on. I'm not sure if he'll be forced to give that one back or not, but yeah, he had to take to the outside of the circuit to avoid the incident. I think as long as he doesn't gain too much an advantage and disappear away from Jochen, he should be okay. But yeah, I think the two of them would need to be quite close for it to be considered that he didn't gain an advantage there by leaving the circuit. There's Antonio Albacete in 4th with Steffi Halm just behind. Here's a look back. So Jochen down the inside. Sasha gives him all the room, goes to turn in, and Jochen's still going straight. And to be fair to both of them, really quick thinking. Jochen managed to keep it on the circuit. Sasha decides straight over is the best way, and I agree. You know, we wouldn't want to see contact and damage. The two of them still close together, but their lap times were both severely hindered by that. Norbert Kish did a 157.7. And I think on that previous lap, Sasha Lenz did, well, it was well into the 158s on that previous run. Jochen Hahn also. And there's a drive-through penalty for truck 24, which is Stefan Faas. So their already difficult day gets more difficult, unfortunately. That's for hitting the penalty markers 3 times in turn 6. And yeah, the previous lap time from Jochen Hahn was a 159.4 and a 58.9 from Sasha Lenz. We've had a purple sector 1 though from Jochen Hahn on this lap, so he's flying right now. He was a 10th or so faster than Norbert Kish, who is very close to ultimate pace on every single lap. René Reinert has now made his way past Mark Taylor as well, as you can see there. René moving up from way down in the grid to 7th place. We'll have to see for the confirmation later, though, whether he holds on to that on the reverse grid spots and whether the time penalty pushes him not just down in the final result, but also in the grid positions for the next race. Jonathan Andre has dropped off quite a lot here. I'm just looking at the lap times. He did a 2:04.6 last time. So I'm not sure if he's had an off somewhere or some contact with somebody, but Jonathan Andre has dropped a bunch of positions. Bradley Smith is now ahead of him. So too is Stefan Faas, and so too John Newell, the two drivers that we look at here. And you can see John really kicking the truck's head in as he comes out of the Villeneuve chicane there, trying his best to throw the thing out at high pace. We're on to the final lap of the race already. The second half of the race has flown by here. All of a sudden, when the battles and the penalties started coming in, it has erupted into flashing by. Clemens Hecker continues to lead in the Chrome class, then René Reinert 2nd place, Mark Taylor in 8th. Sorry, René Reinert in 7th place, Mark Taylor in 8th overall, but 2nd in class. It's either going to be him or Jose Eduardo Rodriguez on pole position, I think, here. And I imagine with the timing added to the end for René Reiner, he will drop down the order. So it's a 10-second penalty for René. We need to figure out where he'll be. It's going to be close, whether he's ahead of Requenco or behind him. At the moment, he'll be just behind him, but we'll see. When they cross the line, I'll obviously add 10 seconds to the distance from the leader as Stefan Faas through the pits with a drive-through penalty and back out onto the circuit as soon as possible. There is Mark Taylor and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in the background. Those two spent the last couple of years fighting over the Chrome Championship very vigorously. Lovely to see them fighting together on circuit now, but not a circumstance that Jose Eduardo would want to find himself in. He's in the Titan class now, so he doesn't want to be fighting with the Chrome drivers. There's Clemens Hecker almost moving out of the way of René Reiner. He knows that's not his fight. He doesn't need to worry too much about that one. René now has clear air for the final half a lap, so he can press on and give what he can to outdo the penalty. But across the line, the checkered flag is out for Norbert Kish, and he takes his 14th win of the year. First one of the weekend here at Zolder, and another very solid job by the team at Revace Racing. Next up, Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn, second and third. Antonio Albacete then ahead of Steffi Helm. And a great recovery by René Reiner. We'll see him next across the line, but it's not going to be him in terms of the final positions, unfortunately, with that 10-second penalty. We'll see how far he drops down. Well, here across the line comes René Reiner after a great recovery, but Clemens Hecker takes the win in Chrome, ahead of Mark Taylor and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Luke Garrett will take a third place in Chrome as well. He'll be really pleased with that. And let's just have a quick look at where René Reiner would end up. 34.5 seconds off. He would be ahead of Requenco, so he would be just after the 42, just ahead of the 64. Then it'll be Bradley Smith, John Newell, Jonathan Andre, Stefan Faas and Stefan Kirsch completing our field. Very well done to Norbert Kish. Another solid textbook drive from him at the front of the pack. And a great battle between Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn in that one. Norby takes the win. Sascha second. More silverware for him and the team. And Jochen Hahn next up in third place. Just trying to see how many second places Sascha's had this year. That is his best result of the season. He's only had third places so far this season, so very well done to Sascha. He does a great job and gets his first second place trophy of the year. It may not be a win, but I tell you, he will be over the moon with that one. Clemens Hecker wins in the Chrome class. Then it is Mark Taylor in second and Luke Garrett in third. That is the fourth win in 5 races in class for Clemens Hecker. And I'm going to do the maths for the championship in just a moment. I'm just filling the results in now as they come in. Obviously, there may be other penalties and things to consider, but I think that we're all good. There was nothing else under investigation from what I know. I think there was 1 or 2 incidents or contact that were being investigated or noted at the time, but we'll get back to that. Norbert Kish takes the win then by his customary 6 seconds or so from Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete completes his 900th race in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship in 4th, with Steffi Helm in 5th position. René Reiner finishes on the road in 6th place, but will have 10 seconds applied later. Clemens Hecker takes 7th overall and wins in Chrome. Mark Taylor's second in class and will be on the front row of the grid for race 2. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, I suspect, will start that race from pole. Luke Garrett gets a top 10, and of course is next up in the Chrome fight for a podium as well. In Chrome then it continues. Louis Requenco ahead of Bradley Smith and John Newell, with Jonathan Andre, with Stefan Faas next up, and then Stefan Kirsch, unfortunately, a minute and a half down by the time the race was done. And now the trucks make their way into the pit lane. Norbert Kish, I'm sure, will sound the horn as he often does. The guys from Goodyear down there in the bottom right of your screen, I can see Javier Martin and, of course, Davide Califano. And a round of applause and a flash of the lights from Norby. Sascha second, Jochen third, More silverware for those drivers who I'm sure have got more trophies than any other object in their house. And Sasha will creep through on the right-hand side, steering clear of the vehicles there, the Ford Mondeos. And there your podium finishers in the very narrow and tight pit lane here at Zolder. Jochen doing the very accommodating thing of not parking exactly alongside Norby, so at least he's got room to open the door. Now, while you've got to put up with my ugly mug on your screens for the whole weekend, I'm happy to tell you that it won't be my face on camera for the driver interviews at the end. My colleague Alice will be down there to speak to the guys and get their initial reactions. Just easier to organise that way than having me in and out of the commentary box multiple times. Hugs and handshakes all round for Revace Racing. Another great result for them. 14th win of the year for Norbert Kirsch. And if things continue the way they are, it's likely he will take his record-breaking 7th title at Le Mans in just a week's time. Amazing performance as ever by the Hungarian squad, and they continue to impress all of us here. Mark Taylor, he seems happy. Big nod and, yeah, big smile on his face, I'm pretty sure. Great points for him in the Chrome Championship. I'm just looking at a provisional championship now, and Sascha Lenz is within 7 points of Steffi Halm and has cleared away from René Reinert as well. Antonio Albacete is now 7 points behind René. And let's see if we can head down there to Alice and get an interview in with the one and only Norbert Kirsch or other podium finishers.
Thanks, Chaz. I'm here with Jochen Hahn. A great race for you. Tight one with Sasha off the start there. Talk us through it.
And then I lose it in the time practice. I have the mistake with René, so I'm position 3. But I have still a fantastic race with Sasha. And one time I look to do it, but I'm a little bit too late. So he's second, I'm third. I'm happy.
And looking ahead to race 2, do you think you can take it back to the fight with them, maybe get back on the podium again?
Yeah, I feel the speed today, it's what we think, it's perfect, so we make racing, that's it.
Perfect, thank you very much, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Alice. Great to hear from Jochen, and it's lovely to see that, you know, regardless of the fact that he lost out the fight to Sasha, he was still happy just to have a fight with them. You know, it's great to have the battle. Luke Garrett there looking pretty chuffed with that one. Bit relieved as well, actually, to have another Chrome podium. We have had it confirmed that the graphics we saw before obviously didn't include the 10-second time penalty for René, so we'll add that on and we'll give you the correct results very soon. What I can tell you is that for the Chrome Championship now, it really spices things up. That means that Bradley Smith is on 189 points. Clemens Hecker is now on 188. He's 1 point off the championship lead. Mark Taylor is then only 4 points back, and John Newell is then 11 behind that. This is the corrected result then. René Reinert will drop to 10th position. So that will mean that Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Mark Taylor will have the front row all to themselves. And it's a battle that we are excited to see once again reignited. Luke Garrett moves up into 9th place as well. So he gets some more championship points. Instead of getting 1 from that race, he ends up with 2 in the overall standings, that is. I can tell you that Luke has now moved clear of Stefan Faast and is closing in on Louis Requenco in the Chrome Championship as well. But once again, that Chrome battle shifting around quite a lot, and it should remain to be just this exciting towards the end of the season. Now we're going to move on to some highlights from that race, our first race of the weekend. And once again, we had Norbert Kirsch on pole position, but Sascha Lenz alongside him. Who's that guy? Sascha Lenz alongside him on the front row of the grid. It was very exciting for him and the team to get some strong points and a decent result from this first outing. We had our beautiful Iveco S-E-Way pace truck leading us around. The engineers did their customary shout as everyone crossed the line. An unfortunate moment for Stefan Kirsch to drop down the order off the first couple of corners. Stefan Faast would also go on to have a difficult race with a drive-through penalty due to the penalty markers here at Zolder. The track limit's very difficult to adhere to in a truck. Clemens Hecker had a great start and managed to just pull away at the front of the Chrome class, while his competitors all battled behind him. Jonathan Andre with a lovely slide there. He and Bradley Smith had a good scrap, but unfortunately, Jonathan would drop down the order a little bit later on into the race. I might have to go and ask him what happened there. We didn't see that one. Louis Requenco off the road with René Reinert going down the inside. René drove a great race through the order, a really lovely drive, but unfortunately, due to overspeeding, he lost 10 seconds and would drop down out of contention for the reverse grid. Sascha Lenz across the gravel fighting with Jochen Hahn. They had a really good time though by the look of it, and I'm sure there'll be many laughs shared between those guys in the paddock later. Stefan Faas was defending from John Newell before then getting his drive-through penalty, but Norbert Kisch takes win number 14 here in 2025 ahead of Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. And now we have our podium presentation with these beautiful golden cups. You can see Davide Califano ready at the presentation there. Not much time afforded, I believe, between the top three. Norby makes his way up to the top step, congratulating Sascha and Jochen on his way. And presenting the trophies will be Rob van Leersum, who is the General Sales Manager of Europe North of Goodyear. Goodyear, the title sponsor of the series, and fantastic to have their continued support on board. Rob gives the trophy to Sascha, and a big handshake from Sascha to Jochen after their race. Big smiles all around. And there we go. Norbert Kisch gets the race-winning trophy, and now we have the Hungarian national anthem.
Your applause, ladies and gentlemen, your applause, dames en heren, for number 3, Jochen Hahn, 2, Sascha,
and there we go.
1, Norbert Kisch.
Our top three once again. Trucks 1, 2, and 3, but not in the usual order that we've seen them before.
Picture of this first race.
And they pose for pictures on the top step.
Now, please, drivers, please switch your caps, and then we're going to perform.
Now they change their hats for more pictures. Sascha's hat goes flying.
And the beautiful martini champagne.
And Norbert Kisch celebrates another brilliant victory, and some champagne, I'm sure, will be sprayed towards the media and everybody in the pen below. I'm sure they've all run away already. Jochen gets an additional splash out of the bottle. And very well done to our overall top three, and we'll take a quick look at the championship standings before the fastest podium presentation in the world moves on to the next one. 288 points to Norbert Kisch, with Jochen Hahn in second place. As I mentioned, though, look at that between Steffi Halm and Sascha Lenz, just 7 points there now, and then between René Reinert and Antonio Albacete, also just 7 points. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez not too far behind, and with some great overall results, Clemens Hecker is now the highest placed Chrome driver in the overall championship, ahead of Mark Taylor and Bradley Smith, who complete the top 10 positions so far. Lucas Hahn not with us here this weekend, unfortunately, but holds on to 11th ahead of Stefan Faas and John Newell, with Louis Requenco, Jonathan Andre and Luke Garrett completing the 16 drivers that have scored overall championship points, meaning a top 10 finish so far this season. Luke Garrett is welcomed up to the podium. I can hear the announcement out of my window. He's not even up there yet, son. Calm down. Mark Taylor making his way up to the podium as well. And then, of course, our Chrome winner for the first race of the weekend, Clemens Hecker, who now moves just 1 point behind Bradley Smith in the Chrome Championship. Bradley hasn't had a class win since Slovakia Ring, the first race at Slovakia Ring many months ago. So he'll be wanting to grab one here this weekend for sure. And Davide Califano giving the trophies out to our Chrome drivers. Big congratulations to them. And now we should have the German and national anthem for Clemens Hecker.
With the Goodyear cap. And then we're going to listen to the national anthem of Germany.
I've just heard him announce it now. There we go.
Congratulations, Clemens Hecker, the winner in the
And yeah, this guy loves to fly through these podium presentations, don't he? I tell you. This guy's had his energy drinks this morning. Very well done to our top three in Chrome. The guys will be all smiles with that one. They've all needed some solid results. Clemens Hecker, obviously, to carry on with the great momentum he had at Most. Mark Taylor to recuperate from the low level of reliability that the truck has shown in the mid part of the season, and Luke Garrett to sort of celebrate the found sort of, I can't think how to word it really, they've just got more consistency at this point of the season now, and Luke is a lot happier with the truck, so he knows exactly how to attack the circuit and how to drive the thing. So yeah, it's great to see that celebrated here with these results. And the top three will make their way away from the podium now and obviously make their way back before the races later on this afternoon. Here's the Chrome Championship standings, and it's still that young man there, Bradley Smith, leading the way at 189 points to Clemens Hecker, 188. Mark Taylor just behind, so 5 points separate the top three. John Newell with not the result he would have wanted there, actually dropping away slightly from them, but all it takes is one good race to get him back up there. Louis Requenco is in fifth ahead of Luke Garrett on 108 points. Then it's 80 and 60 for Stefan Faas and Lucas Hahn. 54 points for Christian Ruppert ahead of Jonathan Andre on 42. Then it should be Stefan Kirsch on 38 and Martin Matzik on 21, which makes me a happy boy because it means that I've got my maths right, and that doesn't often happen here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, at least with me. I'm going to say goodbye for now, everybody. I'll see you on the grid for race 2 later on, but for now, I'm going to hand back down to Alice.
Thanks, Chaz. I'm here with Chrome winner Clemens Hecker, 6th win of the season in category. How was that for you today?
Yeah, perfect, beautiful. So we got a great qualifying. We start normally from P6, and René got I think 10-second penalty, so it was P5, and I don't want to fight with the big boys, so truck is in good shape. We had hot brakes, but we won the race.
And obviously we know Chrome's super close at the moment, and you've outscored all of your Chrome competitors there. How does that feel going into race 2?
I think I start from P3, and we tried to do the same. So we tried to repeat most.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's all we have here from us. The next race is at 3:45 at local time here from Circuit Zolder. We will see you there.